Just imagine showing up at your own daughter's wedding, the girl you raised, protected, and poured your life into, only for her to look you in the eye and say coldly, "Dad, you weren't invited. Please leave." I left without a word, heart shattered by the betrayal. But within 2 hours, her picture-perfect celebration unraveled into chaos. Revenge? No. What came next wasn't vengeance, it was justice. Before we go on, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. The champagne flute slipped from my hand. Crystal fragments scattered across the marble floor like frozen stars, each shard catching the horror reflected in my daughter's expression. "Dad? What are you doing here?" Emily's voice cut sharply through the polite hum of conversations. She stepped toward me, her wedding gown sweeping the floor, the same dress I'd spent $12,000 on, her face pale and tense. "You weren't supposed to come." I stood in the entrance to the ballroom, the gift box still in my hand. White Ecuadorian roses lined every corner, their scent mingling with perfume and silent judgment. The chandelier above us spilled rainbow light across walls I'd rented with 3 months of business profits. "It's your big day, sweetheart," I said, voice softer than I intended. "I just wanted to say congratulations. To both of you." Michael, her fiancé, or rather, her new husband, stepped up beside her. Tailored tuxedo, sharp jawline, colder smile. "Mr. Clark, I think there's been a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" I asked, eyes darting between them, searching Emily's face for some trace of the little girl who once ran to me at the school gates. Emily glanced around. Guests were whispering behind designer glasses of champagne. Men in $1,000 suits pretended not to listen, while listening to every word. "This is a private family event," she said stiffly. "We wanted to keep it intimate. Just immediate relatives." The words hit like ice water. 20 years of bedtime stories. Of homework help and scraped knees. Of skipping vacations to build her college fund. All of it collapsed into that one sentence. "I paid for this wedding, Emily," I said. Not bitterly. Just factually. Every flower, every fork. The dress you're wearing. The band. The venue. Michael's jaw tensed. "Money doesn't buy dignity, sir." Emily lowered her gaze. "It's not about the money, Dad. It's about image. You just don't fit into this world." I understood exactly. Blue-collar fathers who spent their lives on construction sites didn't get a seat at champagne tables. My sacrifices had done their job, but the man behind them was now a liability. The ballroom had gone silent. A photographer slowly lowered his camera. The string quartet played on, oblivious. "I see," I said, and set the gift on a nearby table, beside untouched drinks and $40,000 worth of orchids. "I wouldn't want to cause a scene." "Please, Dad," Emily said. "Don't make this worse than it has to be." I studied her face. Her mother's green eyes now cold, the same smile I once paid for embraces now turned away from me. "You're right," I said quietly. "I don't belong here." The walk to the exit felt longer than any job I'd ever worked. Laughter resumed behind me, fake forced. The clicking of heels echoed like judgment across the marble. My polished work boots felt like weights on sacred ground. Outside, the spring air hit my face like a slap and a release all at once. Luxury cars lined the front lot. My old pickup sat alone in the far corner, fitting. I pulled out my phone. My fingers were steady. After 25 years of building a company from nothing, you learn how to wait. And after 25 years of raising someone who forgets who helped her rise, you learn what real loyalty looks like. Missed calls from my lawyer about the property case. I ignored them. I was looking for another number. One I hadn't called in a while, but suddenly mattered more than ever. First National Bank, Business Services. While my daughter celebrated a new beginning without me, I was preparing to start one without her. The phone rang once. "First National, this is Patricia. How may I assist you?" "Hi Patricia, this is James Clark. Account number 7794512. I need to cancel all pending payments immediately. Starting with venue transfers, floral vendor deposits, and catering fees. The sound of doors closing behind me was more than literal. It was symbolic. She had closed a chapter. So had I. The wind picked up. Rain on the horizon. Shadows stretched across the stone building she called her fairy tale venue. Gothic towers loomed under stormy skies. My boots crunched gravel as I climbed into my truck. 3:47 p.m. Still enough time. Enough time to make some final calls. The wedding music faded into memory. The gift box stayed inside. Like every other piece of myself I'd left behind. But this time, I wasn't leaving with a broken heart. I was leaving with clarity. And sometimes, that's all the justice a father needs. Of course, Mr. Clark. Let me access your account, Patricia said calmly. Could you please verify your social security number and your mother's maiden name? Standard protocol, I replied, giving the information while watching more guests arrive through the glass-paneled entrance of the venue. Women floated by in silk gowns. Men fiddled with their cufflinks. No one had the slightest idea what was coming. Thank you, Patricia continued. I see multiple high-value transactions processed today. Which ones would you like to address? All related to the Anderson wedding. Venue rental, catering deposit, floral services, photography, live music, the entire package. I listed each item like I was reciting materials for a project bid. These need to be halted. Immediately. A pause. Only the sound of her fingers tapping on a keyboard. Sir, these are substantial figures. Are you absolutely sure you want to cancel them all? Without a doubt. Circumstances have shifted. She paused, then said, For amounts over $10,000, I'll need the authorization codes. I rattled them off from memory. 25 years running a construction company teaches you to keep every code, invoice, and contract detail burned into your brain. Stop payments have been placed. Confirmation numbers are processing now. Anything else, Mr. Clark? That takes care of the banking side. Thank you, Patricia. Next, I dialed Spokane's most exclusive catering service, the one Emily insisted on despite their gold-plated pricing. Elegant Affairs Catering, Marcus speaking. Marcus, it's James Clark. Regarding the Anderson wedding reception going on this afternoon. Yes, sir. Everything is going beautifully. Guests are loving the hors d'oeuvres. There's been a financial issue. Bank authorizations have been revoked. I suggest you begin collecting your equipment and pausing food service. The line went silent. I'm sorry, what exactly are you telling me? I'm telling you payment has been stopped. You're no longer under contract. I advise you secure your resources. But we're midway through the event. Dinner service hasn't even begun. Unfortunate timing, I said evenly. You may want to ask the wedding party how they intend to settle things moving forward. Marcus hung up without another word. Smart man. I kept dialing. Bellingham Blooms, Susan speaking. Susan, it's James Clark. Concerning the floral installations at the Anderson wedding. Oh, Mr. Clark, the orchids turned out beautifully. The bride was thrilled. There's been a cancellation. Authorization was pulled. You'll want to recover the inventory before it's damaged or lost. Recover them? They're integrated into every design on site. Business is business, Susan. I'd move quickly if you want to reclaim anything. One by one, I made the rest of the calls: photographer, quartet, linen rental. Same script: professional warning, escalating panic, and quick disconnections as vendors realized they were operating without a contract. By the time the final call ended, it was 4:15 p.m. The dashboard clock blinked quietly as I sat watching. A catering van pulled up to the back of the venue, white, with Elegant Affairs written in gold script. Marcus. Right on time. His crew climbed out without smiles, heading for the service entrance. Inside, I imagined Emily still floating from table to table, greeting guests. probably assuming the world still revolved around her silk train and Michael's smug smirk. Neither of them had any idea what was about to unfold. I turned the key in the ignition and slowly rolled past the venue's main entrance. Through the tall windows, the reception looked like something out of a magazine. Glittering chandeliers. Champagne flutes catching the light. Laughter swirling like bubbles. My phone buzzed. Emily. I let it ring out. By 4:20, the first florist truck arrived. Bellingham Blooms written in soft cursive across the side. Susan was behind the wheel, 2 assistants beside her. They stepped out efficiently and began unloading empty crates and rolling carts. Through the venue windows, I could see the reception in full swing. Guests wandered with drinks in hand. Michael was holding court with a ring of business types, probably spinning a tale about his next big investment. No one noticed the florists slipping in through the side. Emily stood near the main entrance, radiant in a $12,000 gown, pearls catching the chandelier's glow. She laughed, posing for photos, the star of the show. It wouldn't last. Susan appeared inside the ballroom, carrying large storage bins. Her assistants headed for the surrounding floral pieces while she moved toward the altar arrangement with practiced focus. At first, no one reacted. Then confusion began to ripple. Emily approached with her rehearsed hostess smile. "Hi, sorry, can this wait until after the event? We're in the middle of our reception." Susan paused. "Ma'am, I'm Susan with Bellingham Blooms. Payment for these arrangements was rescinded earlier this afternoon. I'm here to reclaim company property." "That's not possible," Emily said, her voice tight. "Everything was paid in full weeks ago. We were contacted directly by Mr. James Clark," Susan replied. "Funds were reversed. I have legal documentation authorizing collection." Emily's face lost its color. Conversations halted. Guests turned. Michael strode across the room, confusion darkening into fury. "What's going on here?" he demanded. "Payment was stopped," Susan replied calmly. "We're recovering unpaid merchandise. This is absurd. You can't just march in and take things," Michael barked. "Call your supervisor." "I am the supervisor," Susan said. "And your contract includes a clause that voids service if payment is cancelled." She gestured to her team, who began removing centerpieces while stunned guests looked on. Outside, the catering crew had arrived and were already rolling bins toward the kitchen. The unraveling had begun, and no one was in control anymore. They came through the main entrance this time, no effort to stay unnoticed. No hushed footsteps, no pretense of subtlety. Emily stood motionless as the floral arrangements were packed into containers. Her carefully composed elegance fractured, delicate as porcelain. "There must be some mistake," she murmured. "My father wouldn't do this. He couldn't." "Ma'am," Marcus said gently, clipboard in hand, "we're required to suspend food service immediately. Payment authorization was rescinded at 4:15. We're contractually obligated to secure our equipment and any remaining inventory." Michael moved quickly, stepping in front of Emily, his voice rising in disbelief. "This is my wedding," he snapped. "You can't just pull the plug in the middle of the reception." "Sir," Marcus replied firmly, "we don't have a choice. When funds are revoked, we're legally bound to begin asset recovery on the spot." He gave a quick hand signal to his crew. Staff moved swiftly, draping white cloths over the serving stations. The clink of silverware stopped. Guests exchanged uneasy glances, flutes of champagne frozen midair. A phone rang somewhere, sharp and jarring against the heavy silence. The string quartet stopped mid-song as their equipment handler arrived. The microphones went quiet. Speakers powered down. Even the mood lighting dimmed as the sound tech unplugged his board. In the middle of it all stood Emily, her wedding dress immaculate, untouched by the unraveling happening all around her. A lone island in the storm. "This can't be real," she whispered. "Not today! Not like this!" Michael turned to her now, his voice lower but sharper. Suspicion had joined the anger. Emily, what kind of arrangement did your family actually make? I don't know, she stammered. Everything was supposed to be taken care of. Her voice trembled. Panic creeping in. The venue's coordinator, phone pressed to her ear, approached with hesitant steps. Her face was pale, her tone clipped and urgent. Mrs. Anderson, I just got off the phone with our billing office. Every payment for today's event was made through a single account, James Clark's. That account holder has rescinded all authorizations. And just like that, Emily broke. The calm exterior she had clung to shattered entirely. For the first time, the little girl who had been excused from her own fairy tale was beginning to grasp the full weight of her father's generosity, and the consequences of turning it into entitlement. Her hands shook as she unlocked her phone, scrolling through contacts until she found the one name she hoped would fix everything. Outside in the parking lot, my phone lit up on the dashboard. Emily. Through the windshield, I could see her figure standing in the venue's entrance. Phone pressed to her ear, urgency radiating from every part of her. Pleading. Needing. I didn't answer. Not yet. 25 years of raising that girl had led me to this moment. 25 years believing that sacrifice would shape her character, not rot it from the inside. She was 3 when Sarah died. 6 months of brutal cancer took my wife and left me with a toddler who cried for her mother every night and asked for her every morning. I could have remarried. Found someone to help raise her. But I didn't. I decided to be enough. Daddy, will you read me another story? She had asked at 5, curled beside me in her pink pajamas. I'd already read 3. I had a sunrise meeting with potential investors. But her eyes, Sarah's eyes, were full of trust. Of course, sweetheart. Daddy always has time. That became the motto. I made time. I made room. I made money, and I spent it where she needed it most. When she turned 8, half my quarterly profits went to private school tuition. The best education money can buy, I told myself, writing checks that delayed equipment upgrades and slowed expansion plans. When I told her she was accepted to Riverside Academy, she wrapped her arms around me and whispered, "Thank you, Daddy. I'll study hard. I'll make you proud." And she did, through elementary school. Straight A's. Plays and recitals where I clapped louder than anyone, my rough builder's hands aching from applause. "Did you see me remember all my lines?" She beamed after one show. "I was thinking about you the whole time." High school changed things. Riverside meant rich classmates. Families with private jets and vacation homes in Vail. Emily started noticing what we didn't have. Her Sweet 16 cost more than most people's weddings. A BMW sat in the driveway, complete with satin bow and custom plates. "Everyone else got BMWs, Dad. This Honda feels kind of embarrassing." That was 2015, the first time appreciation turned to expectation. I should have seen it then. College nearly buried my business dreams. Northwestern wasn't just tuition, it was sorority fees, spring breaks in Cancun, semesters abroad in Florence. Each invoice carved deeper. Each new expense came with less gratitude. And I gave it anyway. "Dad, I need $3,000 for the business fraternity trip. It's crucial for networking." Phone calls turned into invoice requests. Visits home dwindled to the bare minimum, Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas. And when she did call, it was just long enough to explain how much she needed and how fast she needed it wired. Grad school brought Michael into her orbit. He came with generational wealth, legacy ties, and all the polished advantages I'd never had, despite a lifetime of grinding to provide. Emily's remarks at family events began to shift. "Maybe don't wear those boots when you come. Michael's friends are going to be there." The same daughter who used to beg for bedtime stories was now ashamed of the man who'd made her world possible. The construction company I built from dirt and sweat wasn't impressive anymore, it was a liability. At last year's holiday dinner, she introduced me as, "This is my dad, James. He runs a small company." Small company. 25 years of building Clark Construction from nothing, employing over 60 people, funding her private schools, cars, and champagne tastes, condensed into a phrase that sounded more like a footnote than a fact. Then came the wedding talk. Dad, we need to discuss the budget. Michael's family has certain standards for the event. Not thank you for offering to pay. Not we'd appreciate anything you can do. Just expectations. As if my entire career existed to meet her Pinterest board requirements. Planning meetings felt less like celebrations and more like quarterly business reviews. Emily came armed with spreadsheets. Michael offered commentary on cost per guest efficiency. Neither of them acknowledged that every dollar on those charts represented months of my labor. Ecuadorian orchids. Imported French champagne that cost more than my crew made in a day. A designer dress that could cover someone's rent for half a year. It's not about the cost, Dad. It's about quality. Michael's family values quality. Of course they did, quality I was paying for, but that I wasn't classy enough to be part of. My presence, ironically, diminished the very event my money enabled. My phone vibrated again, Emily's third call in 5 minutes. Through the venue's grand windows, I could see her pacing, the hem of her extravagant wedding gown sweeping behind her like a banner of surrender. 25 years of sacrifice had led to this moment. Not a daughter celebrating her father's gift, but a woman just now realizing what she'd driven away. The irony couldn't have been sharper. The same unconditional love that had given her everything would now be the thing to teach her what everything truly meant. I reached for the phone. It was time. The engine whispered to life as I pulled away from the curb. In the rearview mirror, her silhouette grew smaller. Her phone still to her ear. Her name lit up my screen again, 7th call in 10 minutes. Each ring deliberate. Each one under my control now, not hers. The drive home took 20 minutes. Spokane's Saturday evening traffic moved slowly, and with every red light, another call from Emily came through. Each more frantic than the last. By the time I pulled into my driveway, 4 voicemails waited. I listened to them while sitting in the dark garage. Engine off. Garage door lowering like a curtain closing on Act 1. Voicemail 1. Dad, something's wrong. The payments aren't going through. I think there's a mistake. Please call me back right away. Voicemail 2. This isn't funny anymore. The vendors are packing up. People are watching. Just call me. Voicemail 3. Please, Dad. I don't know what's going on. Michael's family is asking questions and I have no answers. Voicemail 4. A whisper cracking under pressure. I need you. Please pick up. Please. As I finished the last one, my phone rang again. Emily's name glowed on the screen, next to the photo from her college graduation. The last time she'd hugged me without needing something in return. I picked up on the 5th ring. Hello, Emily. Dad, finally. What did you do? How could you ruin my wedding? Her voice was panic, raw and real. Gone was the practiced detachment from earlier that afternoon. Good. Panic meant she was beginning to understand. And understanding? That was step 1. I didn't ruin anything, I said calmly. I just stopped paying. You can't do that. This is my wedding. There are 60 guests asking why the flowers are gone, why dinner isn't being served. Where are you calling from? The hotel, she said quickly. The venue said we had to settle the outstanding balance before staying. They asked us to leave. The echo in her voice told me she was calling from a hallway, not a ballroom. No music, no laughter in the background. Just silence. It all made sense. Emily, I need you to really hear me right now. When was the last time you sincerely thanked me for anything? What? Dad, this isn't the moment for a lecture. I need you to call these vendors and fix this. Everything's falling apart. Answer the question. When was the last time you actually showed appreciation for the financial support I've given you? The line went still. In the background, I could hear Michael's irritated voice cutting through the tension. I don't remember exactly, but I've always been grateful. You know that. No. I don't know that, Emily. What I do know is that 3 hours ago, you told me I didn't belong at your wedding. A wedding I paid for, top to bottom. I didn't mean it like that. I was nervous. You know how stressful today's been. Her tone shifted, syrupy, practiced. The same voice she'd used in college when she needed a last-minute wire for spring break in Cancun. Dad, please. I'll make this up to you. We can talk about everything after. But right now, I need you to reactivate the payments so we can salvage what's left of the night. What's left? A cake? A handful of awkward guests clinging to their champagne? A photographer waiting to see if he's still on the clock? I think we can still turn it around. Some of the team is waiting. We just need to figure out how to pay. And how exactly were you planning to do that? Another pause. Heavier this time. I thought you would cover it. You always have. You're right. I have. For 25 years, I've been the safety net. Do you have any idea how much I've spent on you since your mother passed? Dad, please. Don't make me guess numbers right now. I'm drowning here. Try. Give me a ballpark. I don't know, maybe 50 grand? I almost laughed. 50,000 wouldn't have even paid for a year and a half of college. Emily, I've put over $300,000 into your schooling, housing, transportation, and lifestyle since you were 3. And that doesn't even touch what I spent today. The phone went quiet. Her breathing was the only sound. 300? That can't be real. It's actually a conservative estimate. I have the receipts. Every single one. Why are you bringing this up now? Because you never asked? In a quarter century, you've never once been curious about what it cost to keep your world spinning. Never wondered what it meant for me. A burden? Really? I'm your daughter. Yes. You are. And I've loved you enough to give up everything for your comfort. The real question is, what have you ever given up for me? Michael's voice grew louder in the background, irritated, demanding. She covered the receiver, but I could still hear them bickering through the fabric. Dad, Michael's family is furious. They're demanding answers, about our money, about what's going on. They're asking how we're going to pay for this. That's between you and your husband now. But I don't have that kind of money. You know I don't. Then maybe it's time you learn how to earn it. The silence this time lasted a full 30 seconds. What do you want from me? I want you to understand what you discarded this afternoon when you pushed aside the man who built your world from the ground up. I get it now. I do. I made a mistake. Please, can we fix this? We'll see. I'm going to take a long, hard look at everything. Every dollar. There will be records. We'll talk again when I'm ready. I ended the call. Turned the phone off. Through the kitchen window, I watched Spokane's lights flicker across the hills. Emily was out there somewhere, stepping into her first night without the financial cushion she'd always taken for granted. The real education had just begun. My desk lamp cast a warm glow across the surface of my home office. Filing cabinets lined the wall like watchmen, guarding the truths Emily never once asked about. Tonight, those records would finally have a voice. Steam rose from my coffee mug as I opened the first drawer. Emily Education 2020. Behind me, the house settled into evening stillness, but my mind was alive, methodical and sharp, the same focus that built Clark Construction from dirt lots and blueprints into a 60-person business. This wasn't revenge. It was reconciliation through accounting. First folder, Riverside Academy. 12 years of private school tuition. Every payment traced and verified. $8,000 a year in 2008, rising to $12,000 by senior year. The math spoke louder than memory. $126,000 for grade school and high school education, before college ever started. I launched a new spreadsheet. Fingers moved from muscle memory, columns labeled date, description, amount, category, running total. 25 years of fatherhood, reduced to line items and balances. Next came the Northwestern folder, the thickest one. Dorm agreements. Meal plans. Tuition receipts. Study abroad invoices. Just tuition, $52,000 per year. Room and board, another $15,000 annually. Spring break in Cancun her junior year, $3,500. A summer in Italy during her art history kick, $8,200. It's essential, Dad. This is how we build networks in my major. Page by page, the numbers kept rising. Northwestern total, $284,000. More than most people earned in 5 years. Then I opened the transportation folder, a story of its own. Her first car at 16, a reliable Honda Civic, $18,000. By 19, she was embarrassed. Everyone else has BMWs, Dad. Her second car, a BMW 320i, $28,000. Third car, at 25, a BMW X3. Because that's what Michael's friends drove. Each vehicle came with monthly insurance, yearly registration, maintenance costs, none of which ever crossed her mind. There are costs good fathers absorb in silence, unseen, unmentioned. My phone buzzed again. Emily's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring while logging the next entry into the spreadsheet. Phone, iPhone 14 Pro Max, $1,209. The technology and living expenses folder was full of painful surprises. A post-grad apartment in Lincoln Park, $2, $800 a month, paid without complaint for 3 years. Credit card payments when she outspent the generous allowance I provided. Frequent charges to a place called Tazu's, $100 monthly, for 2 straight years. Designer wardrobes, spa treatments, friend getaways bankrolled by equally indulgent parents. The numbers grew like unchecked weeds. Education, $410,000. Transportation, $75,000. Housing support, $125,000. Personal expenses, $180,000. Wedding, $147,000. My calculator showed the sum, $937,000. Nearly $1 million, quietly spent over 25 years, each transaction reasonable in isolation. Private school was an investment in her future. College opened doors. The first car kept her safe. The clothes built confidence. The wedding celebrated love. But the bigger picture told another story entirely. Emily had never contributed a cent to her own upkeep. Never held a job longer than 6 months. Never asked what something cost. Or thanked me for covering it. I pulled out the photo albums I'd maintained through her childhood. Emily at 8, missing teeth and glowing after her first school play. Thank you for coming, Daddy. Did you hear how loud everyone clapped? Emily at 12, beaming with her spelling bee trophy. I thought of you when I got nervous. That's how I remembered the last word. When did that child stop seeing me as someone to thank? When did I become just a bank account with a voice? My phone rang again, Emily's 14th call since our conversation ended. This time, she left a message. Dad, please pick up. I've been thinking about what you said. I know I haven't shown enough appreciation. I know I've taken things for granted. Michael's family is threatening to walk out unless we explain everything. I need to know what you want from me. What I wanted was 25 years of appreciation. What I needed was confirmation that she finally saw the value of what she'd dismissed. I printed the spreadsheet summary and sorted the supporting files into manila folders. Education. Transportation. Housing. Personal expenses. Wedding costs. Each one heavy with proof of love expressed in transactions, of sacrifice measured by deposits. Tomorrow, she'd face questions she'd never had to answer. About maturity, responsibility, and the real cost of privilege. Tonight was for preparation. The files covered my desk like legal exhibits, evidence of a life funded, with no gratitude in return. Emily had lived like royalty while treating her benefactor like a staff member. That imbalance was coming to an end. Another buzz. Her name again. I reached for the phone, then stopped. Not yet. Let her sit with that fear. Let her taste the uncertainty of financial dependence, with no safety net in sight. The real education would resume in the morning. Sunday brought brisk March air and the cool clarity that follows detailed planning. My briefcase waited at the door, packed with 25 years of hard proof. Richards and Associates had accepted my request for an urgent consultation, professional courtesy between men and women who knew some things couldn't wait until Monday. The office had gravitas, rich wood paneling, leather-bound volumes, wall-mounted certificates chronicling decades of practice. Margaret Richards herself met me in the conference room. Silver hair pulled back, navy suit sharp as her reputation. "Mr. Clark," she said, reviewing my documents, "this level of financial record-keeping is extraordinary." She fanned out the folders across the polished table, eyes scanning summaries with precision. Every page spoke to months, years, of lifestyle, fully funded by me. "The total amount," she said, "comes in just shy of $1 million. Even by our standards, that's significant. I want this handled like a business dispute," I told her, easing into the chair across from her. "No emotions. No drama. Just reality." Margaret nodded, scribbling notes on a yellow legal pad. "Based on your documentation and the lack of reciprocal financial contribution, we can pursue either a reclassification of funds as callable loans or file them under a formal promissory arrangement. You have multiple paths to recovery." She laid out a game plan like a surgeon describing an operation. A formal demand letter, requesting full reimbursement within 30 days. A comprehensive breakdown of all expenditures, complete with records. A clearly defined response window and negotiation terms. Legal follow-up in the event of noncompliance. "This will take it out of the emotional sphere," she said. "It becomes a contract dispute, not a family squabble. Much cleaner." By 11 a.m., the documents were ready. Official letterhead. Ironclad language. No room for confusion. The message was simple: repay $937,000 within 30 days or face legal action. "We'll courier it today," Margaret said. "Signature required. There'll be a record of delivery." I drove home with my own copies, a complicated cocktail of resolve and grief simmering in my chest. Emily had brought us here, with years of entitlement and disregard. I was simply presenting the bill. At 2:15 p.m., my phone rang. The courier confirmed delivery to room 1247, Spoke and Grand Hotel. Signed for by Emily Clark Anderson. The formal process had begun. I imagined her confusion, expecting it to be vendor documents or another wedding issue, her stomach dropping when she saw legal stationery instead. Michael, ever the confident husband, tore open the sealed envelope with his usual bravado. As he read, the arrogance faded. Understanding crept in slowly. At exactly 2:47 p.m., my phone began to ring. Emily's name flashing on the screen, again and again. I let every call roll to voicemail. Each message more frantic than the last. Voicemail 1. "Dad, what is this? Some kind of legal notice? This can't be real." Voicemail 2. $900,000? That can't be right. You never said this was a loan. Voicemail 3. "Please call me. Michael's parents are asking questions I can't answer." Voicemail 4. Her voice cracked. "I don't understand how everything fell apart so quickly." At the Grand Hotel, Emily and Michael were finally coming face to face with what accountability looks like when enforced by legal means. 25 years of financial support, once seen as gifts, had now been categorized as debt. Recoverable. Quantified. Collectible. The wedding drama had been just the prelude. This was the main act. Margaret had laid it out clearly. Civil debt recovery follows a predictable path. They need to hire an attorney just to respond appropriately. That costs money they didn't have, for a debt they couldn't afford. Emily's calls kept coming through the afternoon. 15 missed calls. 8 voicemails. Each one carrying a deeper note of panic. The daughter who once dismissed me from her wedding guest list was beginning to grasp exactly what she'd cast aside. The irony was almost poetic. Emily had spent a lifetime assuming my support was unconditional. Now she had 30 days to repay nearly $1 million, with legal consequences looming if she didn't. My phone buzzed again. Call number 16. This time, I picked up. Dad, please. We need to talk about this like adults. Her voice was worn, the edge of yesterday's panic dulled into fatigue. This letter, it can't be legit. I leaned back in my kitchen chair, coffee steaming on the table. Outside, a calm Sunday played out in Spokane. Families walking dogs, kids on bikes, laughter drifting through open windows. Emily, I said, steady and calm. It's entirely legitimate. Just like the 30-day deadline. But $900,000, how is that even possible? You never told me it was a loan. And I never said it was a gift. You just assumed. I heard Michael in the background, tense, angry. Papers shuffled. Footsteps pacing. Emily, I asked, keeping my voice even, who exactly are you planning to call for help? There was a pause, tight and loaded. I don't know. Family. Friends. People who care. I see, I replied. You've got 29 days. Better start dialing. I ended the call and flipped my phone to silent. Let Emily discover what I had known for years. Money owed on this scale reveals who's truly willing to stand by you, and who won't return your call. My screen lit up all afternoon, her name appearing and vanishing like a flare from a sinking ship. I ignored every buzz, every voicemail. By evening, the calls stopped. Monday morning arrived with a different kind of silence. No voicemails. No texts. Just quiet. I drove out to the job site. We were breaking ground on a new commercial complex. There's clarity in manual labor. The smell of freshly turned soil, the hum of machines, the clean progress of something real being built. Around 10 a.m., my foreman Dave walked over, hands on hips. Boss, you seem off today. Everything okay? Family stuff, I said, watching an excavator scoop into the earth. Sometimes you've got to make tough calls, for the right reasons. Kids? Something like that. My phone vibrated. A new message from Emily. Dad, I've started calling family and friends. Everyone's shocked. Please talk to me. I deleted it without replying. An hour later, another ping. Aunt Margaret says she can't help. She said maybe I need to learn some responsibility. What does that even mean? Then another. Sarah won't answer anymore. Lisa's asking why I never had a job. People are treating me like I did something wrong. The texts kept coming throughout the day. Her college roommate was uncomfortable. Her sorority friends were surprised. No one could lend money. Most wouldn't even entertain the conversation. Meanwhile, Michael had his own crisis. His mother had called 3 times, demanding explanations. His father called for a family meeting, concerned about public image. His brother started probing with uncomfortable questions about financial transparency before marriage. By Tuesday, the pattern had fully emerged. Emily's support system was buckling under the pressure of nearly $1 million in unresolved debt. People who had once enjoyed her generosity, lavish dinners, designer gifts, spontaneous getaways, were now conveniently unreachable. When it was her turn to ask for help, everyone vanished. Wednesday brought a new message. Dad, Michael's parents are urging him to consider annulment. They think I misled him about money. Please call. We need to fix this. I nearly chuckled. Apparently, Michael's parents were quicker to grasp reality than their son had ever been. Thursday's message was shorter. No one's offering help. Everyone has a reason. Michael barely speaks to me. His parents are telling him to see a lawyer and protect his assets. I don't understand how it all fell apart so fast. 25 days left. Emily was beginning to feel the full weight of financial self-reliance, without ever having acquired the tools to carry it. The lesson was unfolding exactly as it needed to. Friday morning felt different. No texts. No voicemails. Just a heavy silence that made me double-check my phone to make sure it hadn't lost signal. Then came the counterattack. Monday. Around 9 a.m., my assistant Rachel tapped on my office door, looking uneasy. She held out a printed email. "Mr. Clark, this came in from the Spoken Business Journal. They're asking if family matters are affecting your work or decision-making." I read it twice. The language was formal, but the message was clear. Someone had been stirring the pot. "Any idea how they found out about all this?" I asked. Rachel hesitated, then handed me her tablet. A Facebook post. Emily's wedding photo front and center, glowing, glamorous. Below it, a long caption. "My father ruined my wedding and is now demanding nearly $1 million from me out of spite. I don't know who he is anymore." The post painted me as unhinged, a bitter man exacting revenge on his daughter for imagined betrayals. Over 200 shares. Dozens of comments tagged local business owners and clients I'd known for decades. Then the phone rang. Bob Martinez, from Martinez Concrete. A 20-year business partner. "James, I'm seeing some stuff online. People are talking. Something about a legal fight with your daughter over wedding bills?" "Bob, there's paperwork that tells a very different version." "I hope so. A few folks are asking questions about your city contracts. You know how political things get around here." 3 more calls followed within the hour. Every one of them carefully worded, all hinting at concern over my judgment, my family, and my business stability. Emily and Michael hadn't wasted time. Michael's last name carried weight in Spokane. His family's connections extended into the city's social elite, country clubs, fundraising boards, private foundations. They knew exactly where to plant their version of the story. Local Facebook groups lit up with gossip. Construction boss sues daughter for $450,000 after wedding blow-up. Spoken businessman demands repayment from child after lavish ceremony. With each retelling, the narrative grew more twisted. By noon, I'd taken 7 calls from colleagues expressing concern. The Rotary Club president asked whether I was still mentally fit to lead a community housing initiative. 3 contractors subtly hinted at reevaluating upcoming joint projects. Emily and Michael had chosen their arena with precision. In a place like Spokane, reputation is everything. Attack a person's character, and you attack their livelihood. But they had misjudged one critical thing. I drove home and pulled out the meticulously prepared folders Margaret Richards had helped me assemble. 2.5 decades of bank statements, receipts, tuition payments, rent support, travel bookings, credit card bailouts. Every unreciprocated expense. Every sacrifice. Then I picked up the phone. "Margaret," I said, "we need to schedule a press briefing. First thing tomorrow." "Are you sure, James? Once it's public, there's no taking it back." "They've already taken it public," I said. "Now it's time for the truth." The next 6 hours were spent in focused preparation. I called the Spoken Business Journal directly, offering full transparency and documentation. I reached out to the 3 reporters who had contacted Emily's camp, promising evidence that told the complete story. Most importantly, I personally contacted every business partner, community organizer, and professional colleague I'd worked with over the last 25 years. These were people who'd watched me build Clark Construction from the ground up. People who'd seen firsthand my loyalty, to both business and family, over the span of decades. "Dave," I said, "start calling everyone in our contractor directory. There's going to be a public statement tomorrow that clears the air about what's really going on with Emily." By nightfall, I had confirmation. The Spoken Business Journal had agreed to publish an exposé. Local news stations confirmed they'd be at the press conference. All the documentation was printed, bound, and ready for distribution. Emily's smear campaign had lasted 3 days. My rebuttal would take just one morning. The truth, organized, supported by irrefutable records, and presented with professionalism, would overpower any emotionally charged social post or half-baked accusation. 24 days left before the legal clock ran out. By this time tomorrow, Emily would understand a hard truth: reputation warfare is best left to those with something real to protect. Tuesday morning arrived with all the punctuality of a well-planned job site. At exactly 9 a.m., I released 25 years of financial records across every social platform tainted by Emily and Michael's lies. The materials were meticulous and complete. Verified bank transfers totaling $937,000. Organized spreadsheets breaking down expenses, education, housing, transportation, and general lifestyle costs. Photographs of Emily at every age, tied to matching financial records that documented her path from dependent child to entitled adult. Every dollar traced. Every receipt accounted for. The headline above it all: what 25 years of unconditional support looks like. Beneath it, a full timeline showing Emily's journey, mapped alongside every cost I'd absorbed to get her there. The reaction was swift. Within the hour, my phone rang with a new tone: support, not concern. Tom Bradley from Bradley Electrical called. "James, I had no idea. I'm putting 2 kids through college right now, maybe $15,000 a year, total. You spent triple that every semester. Unreal." Bob Martinez rang again. "James, I owe you an apology. After seeing that documentation, I get it. That level of entitlement? It would break any parent." Suddenly, the tide turned. The social media sympathy Emily had collected began crumbling under the weight of actual facts. Screenshots of tuition payments, $52,000 annually. Invoices for multiple high-end vehicles. Decades of bills for housing, clothing, travel, and comfort that most families would consider unthinkable. At 11 a.m., Margaret Richards called. "James, the public response is overwhelming. Spoken Business Journal wants to turn this into a broader piece on financial accountability and entitlement. You've flipped a personal attack into a citywide conversation." By midday, Emily's emotional Facebook plea looked hollow, a cheap narrative completely outmatched by hard evidence. People were resharing my documentation with captions like, "This is what sacrifice looks like. No wonder he's asking for repayment. This isn't parenting, it's patronage." The construction community that had briefly questioned me now stood behind me. Colleagues who'd wondered about my state of mind were now publicly defending my name. The Rotary Club's president released a statement supporting my integrity. Even City Hall issued a brief statement on the importance of responsibility in family financial arrangements. Dave texted me from the site. "Boss, crew's been talking about what's going on. Everyone's got your back. Nobody can believe the nerve it took for Emily to pull this." The local news picked up the story, not as scandal, but as a feature on sacrifice, limits, and parental boundaries. The evidence spoke for itself. They didn't need to editorialize, they just showed the facts and let the public react. Emily's campaign had backfired spectacularly. Her curated image of victimhood shattered in the face of 25 years of documented support. Now, it wasn't my stability under scrutiny, it was hers. Even Michael's family ties, once a social weapon, began turning against them. Their peers now saw the truth behind the glossy facade. The Anderson name, once respected, was now associated with spreading lies about a man who had only ever offered help, and then asked for honesty. By evening, the story had completely flipped. Emily and Michael weren't sympathetic figures anymore. They were opportunists who'd attacked the one person who had never failed them, until he finally said, "Enough." The receipts didn't just tell a story. They told the story. Every number, every statement, every transaction was a record of love, and of years taken for granted. My phone buzzed. A message from Emily. "Dad, please take down the financial records. People are saying horrible things about us." I read it once, then deleted it without responding. 23 days left. The lesson was nearing its conclusion. Wednesday, 6:47 a.m. Michael's phone rang, cutting through the early morning silence of their cramped hotel room, now suffocating under the weight of social fallout and financial anxiety. The voice on the other end was unmistakable. "Michael, this is your father. We need to talk. Now." Emily watched as Michael's face went pale. His responses were short, stiff. "Yes, I'm aware of the optics. No, I didn't understand the scope of the financial documentation. It's more complicated than we realized." 12 minutes later he hung up, silent, staring at the floor. Then he spoke. "My parents want me back home. Today." Emily blinked. "What?" "Michael, this is temporary. Your dad's just reacting emotionally." "Emily. Stop." His tone was final. He began yanking clothes from drawers, tossing them into his suitcase. "My father got 3 phone calls yesterday, from business partners. Asking about us. The country club is already gossiping about our connection to financial dishonesty." "Dishonesty? Are you serious?" "This was just a personal disagreement that spiraled. Your father released records showing nearly $1 million in support that you never disclosed. To my family, that's not a misunderstanding, that's deceit at best, manipulation at worst." Emily felt panic rise in her chest like a tidal wave she couldn't stop. "You're leaving?" Her voice cracked under the weight of disbelief. "We got married less than a week ago." 6 days ago, Michael said, jamming clothes into a suitcase with building aggression. "And those 6 days have wrecked my reputation and my family's standing." He wasn't looking at her, just packing faster. "I have a trust fund, Emily. A career in motion. Connections that depend on keeping things clean. Untangled. Stable. And us? What about our vows? Our commitment?" That made him pause. For the first time since that call, he looked her straight in the eye. "Commitment?" he scoffed. "You dragged me into a financial meltdown without warning. Your father's demanding close to $1 million, and you have no way to pay it. My attorney says I need to distance myself or risk liability." "Liability? I'm your wife. You're a financial risk, Emily. No income. No assets. Just a mountain of debt and a trail of burned bridges." Each word struck her like a slap. The air seemed thinner now. "My family can't afford to be associated with this kind of chaos." Her phone buzzed for the first time in days. A message from Michael's mother. "Emily, dear, Michael needs to return home. Family duties, I'm sure you understand." The sweetness of the wording made it worse, surgical, polite, final. This same woman had once called Emily radiant at the wedding reception. "Michael, please. We can fix this. My father's angry now, but he loves me. This will settle down." Michael pointed to her open laptop, comments scrolling in real time, cruel and unrelenting. "Look at that." His voice was steady but cold. "This isn't passing. Your dad posted 25 years of receipts. People are calling you a spoiled heiress who never earned a dime. And they're not wrong." The truth stung more than the judgment. She had never worked longer than 6 months. Never paid rent. Never asked where the lifestyle came from. "I thought that's what daughters were supposed to be, supported. Not to the tune of almost $1 million, Emily," he said, zipping his suitcase with finality. "Not without appreciation. Not without giving anything back." He stood straight, voice quieter now but no softer. "My family spends their lives building companies, communities, causes. What have you ever built other than bills?" Something cracked inside her. Not just her marriage, her entire understanding of herself. "Where do I go? I don't even have enough for tonight's hotel bill. My cards are maxed. Everyone's ghosted me." Michael lingered at the door, hand on the handle. "Call your dad." His voice was flat. "Apologize. Be accountable. Maybe he'll help you become someone who doesn't crumble the second money disappears." She stepped toward him. "Michael, please don't leave me alone." He paused but didn't turn around. I've felt alone since the day we said I do. You brought expectations, not effort. Demands, not support. His tone softened just a hair. Maybe losing everything will teach you something your father's money never could. The door clicked shut behind him like a final sentence. The room suddenly felt cavernous. Her wedding dress still hung in the closet. 6 days ago, it had been a symbol of joy. Now it just mocked her. No husband. No allies. No money. No backup plan. For the first time in her life, Emily Clark Anderson was utterly, terrifyingly alone. She stared at her phone. Scrolled through the contact list until she found the number she hadn't dared call since the chaos began. Her father's name. The man she had blamed, dismissed, and abandoned. She hovered for a second. Then tapped. The line rang once. "Hello, Emily." His voice was calm. Not warm, but not cruel either. Just quiet recognition that his daughter had finally reached out. "Dad?" Her voice cracked. I don't even know where to begin. Start with the truth. Do you understand what's happened this week?" She looked around the room. At Michael's absence. At the glow of the laptop screen still spitting out public condemnation. The weight hit all at once. Like steel beams crashing to the ground. "I lost everything. Michael's gone. His whole family cut me off. I don't even have money to pay for tonight's room." She swallowed hard. "Everyone hates me." Silence. Then his question, like a stone in her chest. "Do you understand why?" She closed her eyes. There had always been someone else to blame. An excuse. A safety net. Not this time. "Because I treated you like a credit card, not a person. Because I never once thanked you for everything you gave up for me. Because I was selfish, entitled, and cruel." The silence stretched. She could hear his breath, steady, reflective. "Go on." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I saw the records you posted. $900,000. Over 25 years. A tremble ran through her. "I never asked where it came from. Never once said thank you. I didn't think about what you were sacrificing to give me the life I had." Tears finally fell. Not from embarrassment, but from truth. "You paid for the wedding. And I threw you out of it. What else?" The words felt jagged, but they needed to come out. "I tried to ruin your name when you finally held me accountable. I lied about you online. I encouraged Michael's family to spread rumors about your character." Each confession felt like pulling shards from a deep wound. "I became the worst version of what people say about entitled children who never grow up." There was a pause. Then his voice, still steady, but gentler now. "Do you remember when you were 8, after your mom passed away? You used to hug me every night and whisper that I was the best dad in the world." "I remember. I wanted to give you the world because I loved you. But somewhere along the way, giving you everything became the reason you forgot how to love me back. I didn't stop loving you, Dad." Her voice cracked. I stopped showing it. I stopped being grateful. I stopped being your daughter and turned into a consumer." Then came the question, the one she had dreaded the most. "So what do you want from me now?" It wasn't just about help. It was about whether there was anything left to rebuild. "I want to earn your respect again. I want to be the daughter you deserve. I want to learn how to stand on my own, give back, contribute, be someone you could be proud of." She wiped her eyes, inhaled deeply. "But first, I need help making it through long enough to prove I can change." "What kind of help?" "Enough to stay at this hotel for 1 more week while I look for work. Any work. I just need a small window to show I can support myself." He didn't answer right away. "Emily, if I help this time, it comes with terms. Anything. You'll find a job within 2 weeks. I don't care if it's sweeping floors or waiting tables. Ego is something you no longer have room for. I understand. No more financial requests for 6 months. You live within your means. You survive on what you earn. Yes. We'll speak once a week." But from now on, we speak as two adults, not as a parent and child. That's what I want too. I want to earn back the right to be your daughter. I'm sending $1,000 to your account. That'll cover a week at the hotel and basic food. After that, you're on your own. Dad, thank you? I know I haven't earned. You're right. You haven't. But everyone deserves one chance to grow up, even at 28. There was something different in his voice, firm, but not angry. Stern, but not bitter. Hopeful, maybe. Emily, I've always loved you. Now I want to see if I can respect you too. I won't let you down. Not again. We'll see. Love you, sweetheart. The call ended. But for the first time in days, she felt something other than shame. Not quite comfort. Not yet redemption. Possibility. 21 days to prove she could change. A lifetime to reclaim what she had thrown away. She opened her laptop. Job listings filled the screen, each one foreign, intimidating. But intimidating was better than impossible. For the first time, she was going to earn something. Her real education had just begun. If this story spoke to you, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing your thoughts below. Thank you for watching.